welcome you back again with our spotlight on G20. The second Sherpas meeting started in Kerala today, where the focus was twofold: sustainable and green development and financing for SDGs, including climate action. The delegates proposed a new vision for sustainable development that can facilitate robust economic growth while tackling climate change. We will share with you the highlights of the meeting. Also on the show, the first disaster risk reduction working group meeting gets underway in Gandhinagar, and the second international financial architecture working group meeting started in Paris. Meeting of the agriculture working group entered its second day in Chandigarh, and the trade and investment meeting concluded in Mumbai today. All that and more in this edition of India at G20. I'm Anmol Bhattacharya. First up, the top stories. First disaster risk reduction working group meeting gets underway in Gandhinagar. Discussions on day one take place on early warning system for all. Side event held on early warning and early action. Meeting aims to encourage collective work by G20 countries, undertake multidisciplinary research and exchange best practices on disaster risk reduction. Day one of the second Sherpa meeting in Kerala's Kumaracom sees thought-provoking sessions on the themes of digital public infrastructure and green development. India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant says India is poised to be the first country to industrialize without carbonizing. DPI Experience Zone at the meeting showcases potential of DPIs in tackling global challenges like financial inclusion and equitable access to education. Second International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting begins in Paris. Discussions take place on strengthening the global financial safety net. India presents its analysis of debt vulnerabilities and ways to approach them. The first disaster risk reduction working group meeting got underway in Gandhinagar today. The meeting kicked off with inaugural addresses by Dr. P.K. Mishra, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, and Devu Singh Chauhan, Minister of State Communications in the Government of India. Discussions on day one took place on early warning system for all. A side event was also organized on early warning and early action. That side event encouraged proactive measures that can decrease the impact of disasters. It provided a forum for the exchange of ideas that can enhance disaster preparedness and resilience. The working group meeting aims to encourage collective work by G20 countries, undertake multidisciplinary research and exchange best practices on disaster risk reduction. DD India correspondent Meghna Dev spoke to Dr. P.K. Mishra, Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister in Gandhinagar. Dr. Mishra spoke on how Gujarat is the most befitting state, in fact, to host the first meeting of Disaster Risk Reduction Working Group under India's G20 presidency. Take a listen.
So this is the first, we can say, the inception meeting of this disaster risk reduction working group. How are we looking at setting the agenda for the further meetings?
So, as you know, this is for the first time a working group on disaster risk reduction has been formed in the G20 deliberations, and it is very appropriate that the first meeting is being held in Gujarat. In fact, the modern approach to disaster management, actual application in the field started from Gujarat, actually in the country. And after the 2001 earthquake, a lot of work was done because that was one of the massive earthquakes ever seen in the country. And there was not only, of course, the challenge was very, very massive for immediate response, immediate rehabilitation and so on, but the medium term and long term aspect were also focused a great deal. And after that, lot of institutional changes, lot of long term measures were taken. Many cases, the preparedness, response, governance system, because governance is also very important in many countries, so that will be another area. It provides an allocation for disaster management. Earlier it was for response, but the 15th Finance Commission, which gave its report some 2-3 years ago, for the first time had also earmarked some fund for recovery also, mitigation, recovery.
Gujarat, in a sense, has set an example in terms of how the revival took place after the 2001 earthquake that happened.
It will just to give an idea about how massive was the earthquake, how so many people were affected, and how the challenge could be addressed, particularly in not only in Kutch but whole of Gujarat, and how it was a milestone for the whole country and globally also.
Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. Thank you.
G20 delegates spoke to DD India on the agenda of the first Disaster Risk Reduction Working Group meeting and the importance of disaster financing and early warning for all. Take a listen.
We need to invest in the early warning system for all hazards, and it's very critical because we have been, the global community have been discussing for years, but it has not been moving really. The action has not been taken. So I do see that is a hope that with this first working group meeting, the G20 and beyond G20 countries, international community should take more effort.
Early action, early warning is the theme for the first meeting and first priority today for the technical meeting, as well as for the side event, and it was very informative. And I look forward to further hearing from other countries, representatives, as well as IOs.
So natural disasters are very costly for governments, but also industry. And what I'm particularly keen to discuss is what are the public-private partnerships that we might be able to progress to ensure that we're incentivising the right type of activity to accommodate these natural disasters.
It's the first time the G20 member states finally have the working group for disaster risk reductions, and Indonesia, we're really happy and grateful to be invited to this event. And we previously we discussed about the experience of Indonesia in dealing with volcano eruptions,
and we saw very successful examples two from India, one from Bangladesh, from Indonesia, about how local communities who are at actually the clients of early warning and early systems benefited from early warning over the years, and they were able to organize themselves and protect lives and livelihoods. I think that's one most critical point.
The second G20 Sherpas meeting under India's G20 presidency kicked off in Kumarakom in Kerala on Thursday. At the 4-day gathering of over 120 delegates from G20 member countries, 9 invitee countries and various international and regional organizations, multilateral discussions took place on G20's economic and developmental priorities as well as on addressing contemporary global challenges on day one.
Day one of the second Sherpa meeting started with two high-level side events on digital public infrastructure and green development.
We showcased our digital public infrastructure, and there is a experience zone also which has been created by NASSCOM and all the private sector companies, the major private sector companies who have been involved in the development of the digital public infrastructure. They are present here and they have put up their stalls. What was showcased to the Sherpas particularly was the digital payment infrastructure, on how payments can be made just by scanning a QR code and no money is involved. Any vendor, any street side vendor can accept money and payments can be made.
We have achieved something that is unique, something extremely transformational and which could make a difference to the lives of 1 billion people. So whether it is fast payments, whether it is DigiLocker, whether the way we have used Aadhaar, and on top of which we are able to bring in a variety of digital public goods, that has resonated with the global audience, and what we are seeing today can have huge developmental impact.
I'm so thrilled to be here to showcase, have India showcase what it has done. I mean, the human impact, the economic impact has just been transformative, and this is a real opportunity for other countries to learn from India's journey over the last couple of decades.
I think it's absolutely critical to take an approach that we're now calling digital public infrastructure, which is using interoperable open technology standards to build out those foundational systems like payments and identity to be able to include everyone in the economy.
Showcasing Digital India was a key highlight of the sessions on day one.
Apart from showcasing India's experience and leadership in creating digital public infrastructure, NASSCOM, along with private industry players, created a Digital India immersive experience zone where the delegates and the visiting Sherpas could see for themselves how DPI initiatives like Aadhaar, UPI fast payments, DigiLocker and CoWIN work in real time.
People who wouldn't have access to primary healthcare directly can now go onto a phone and ask what do they suffer from and get advice, timely advice. And that is a direct impact at the bottom of the pyramid for citizens of India. And that's where I think eSanjeevani as a platform and as a national platform has transformed healthcare and good timely advice for health at citizens' fingertips.
On the sidelines of the meeting, India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant also held bilateral meetings with his counterparts from the G20 countries.
Apart from the bilateral, small multilateral meetings like the Troika meeting of Indonesia, India and Brazil, the Troika +1 which also had South Africa, the meeting of the emerging market economies were also held on the sidelines of the second Sherpa meeting, clearly putting the emphasis on the voice of the global South. With cameraman YK Loknath, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Kumarakom.
The second International Financial Architecture Working Group meeting started today in Paris and will conclude on the 31st of March. Day one of the meeting witnessed discussions on strengthening the global financial safety net. Along with the IMF and World Bank, India presented its analysis of debt vulnerabilities and ways to approach them. The group focuses on strengthening the international financial architecture and addressing multiple challenges faced by vulnerable countries. On day two of the Agriculture Working Group meeting in Chandigarh, Minister of State for Commerce and Industry Som Prakash expressed confidence that the discussions in the meeting will steer towards developing consensus on the way forward for growth of the agriculture sector. A bilateral meeting between India and Argentina was held on the sidelines of the meeting to discuss cooperation in the area of plant protection between the two countries. DD India correspondent Anuj Yadav spoke to Manoj Ahuja, Secretary in India's Agriculture Ministry in Chandigarh, on how the meeting is taking forward the progress made in the first meeting in Indore. Take a listen.
Agricultural Deputies meeting which is being held in Chandigarh. The first meeting was held in Indore and the Agricultural Deputies came to a certain conclusion regarding the important issues which the global agriculture sector faces. Primarily food security and nutrition, the impact of climate change and the need to bring sustainability in agriculture, making value chains more resilient and efficient, and the use of digital technologies which can help agriculture. And the Indian presidency is also pushing forward for a need for an initiative, a global initiative on millets, since a lot of countries support the ideas to have more policy intent and more emphasis on research collaboration on indigenous crops like millets, and also our public digital infrastructure which we are also using as agri-stack in agriculture.
Samuel Praveen Kumar, Joint Secretary in the Agriculture Ministry, spoke on the major focus areas of the meeting. Take a listen.
Major focus areas are how to make agriculture sustainable, because as the issue of climate change was raised, how are we coping up with climate change? India has developed some climate resilient varieties, especially when it comes to wheat. We are growing wheat, and millet is a climate smart produce. So we are telling to the world that we should promote millets, and millets can become a part of our dietary requirements daily, and we are able to make not only the nutritional thing but also make the agriculture sustainable. We are developing the agri-stack and we are developing the other IT related things. All these will be connected and then integrated. So we are able to develop, and again for climate resilience, technology is the solution, innovation and technology. So these are all the areas on which the discussions are happening.
Anuj Yadav also spoke to the American delegate attending the agriculture meeting in Chandigarh on millets. Take a listen.
I did not know how important millet can be. So this G20 meeting has been a real eye-opener about the importance of millet, a lot of protein, climate resistant and very nutritious and very tasty. I've just had the most delicious meal. So big thanks to Chandigarh and the Indian G20 for publicising the importance of millet.
After concluding day one of the meetings on Wednesday, delegates had a delightful experience visiting the iconic rock garden in Chandigarh. DD India correspondent Anuj Yadav filed this report on Wednesday night.
After the day-long meetings of the representatives of the G20 countries, now all the delegates are being taken to Rock Garden of Chandigarh to know and understand the culture and historical heritage of the country. It is made entirely out of industrial and domestic waste and discarded items. This rock garden also shows how waste material can be better used to save the environment from contamination.
Absolutely beautiful. It's amazing how the artist took all of the pieces over the years, and I heard he didn't tell anybody about it, and created this beautiful,
I love particularly these sculptures which are made with the pieces of bangles from ladies, and I find it a very almost spiritual to see all of these artworks in this way.
Along with this, Millet's Fair has also been organized here, through which an attempt has been made to show that delegates that millets are going to have a big contribution in the food security and nutrition of the world in the coming times. With cameraman Sumit Nodial, this is Anuj Yadav, DD India, Chandigarh.
G20 delegates also visited a millet fair in Chandigarh where they savoured millet-rich food. Millets are nutritious and good for the climate, farmer and customer, and India is promoting millets in a major way under its G20 presidency. The first Trade and Investment Working Group meeting concluded in Mumbai today. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal, while addressing a press conference in Mumbai, said that amidst all the economic challenges faced by many countries, India is the bright spot which almost everybody recognizes and respects. And some reports suggest that India is going to be the fastest growing economy in the coming times. He termed India as a role model for many developed and developing countries for efficient economic management. He said that over a period of 9 years, India has seen a golden era of controlling inflation and maintaining the robustness of a macroeconomic framework. Talking on WTO reforms, he said that developed and developing countries have their own interests which they have to safeguard, but India is a bridge between developed and developing countries. He said in the last WTO meeting, the countries have signed 8 agreements, which is a good sign, and India played a very important role in this negotiation.
World economies are getting into recession. Developed economies particularly are in the throes of high inflation, low growth, job losses. Many developing nations are facing foreign exchange crisis. Amidst all these challenges, India is the bright spot which almost everybody in the world today recognizes and respects. Different world leaders have shown the confidence they have in Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Italian Prime Minister recently said he's the most loved leader of the world. Many world leaders are looking up to his leadership to resolve the severe crisis in other parts of the world.
DD India correspondent Shama Mishra spoke to foreign delegates on India's trade and investment priorities as G20 president and their expectations and experiences in Mumbai. Take a listen.
The main idea is that trade and investment are engines of growth, and the main idea is embedded in the slogan that we have. One Earth, one family, one future. Future means that the world needs multilateralism.
India is one of the biggest country as well, many rich country, and this is the first time I was in Mumbai. I think this is really beautiful city. Yesterday program last night is really fantastic and entertaining.
I believe that the priorities chosen by India are very meaningful and very appropriate for the discussion of the G20 working group right now.
I think India has shown its good sense of hospitality, and it has truly achieved the traditional motto that says that when you have a guest, you treat it like a god. Indian culture program has also been very, very interesting.
No, it was great, and they did it under the leadership and the presidency of India, and the subject that we have discussed this morning and this afternoon, especially with the GVC, are very, very relevant, and we are so happy at the way and the manner in which the chair of India has handled and lead in terms of the discussion.
The Indian presidency has really taken a far-reaching perspective at this G20, trying to look for longer-term sustainable and equitable solutions for the globe and not just individually. We all saw that the results of COVID in terms of interrupted supply chains really did a damage to us individually and showed us that we really need to come together as a global family to solve our issues. So it's spot on.
And innovative ideas came through the discussion. I could assume that all the participants confirmed the importance of further improving the global value chains, increasing the participation of developing countries in these global value chains, and also one of the issues raised in the discussion is to improve the quality.
At the first Trade and Investment Working Group meeting under India's G20 presidency in Mumbai, the Tea Board has set up a tasting and experience zone for the delegates where tea companies are displaying varieties of tea grown in India only, including the Darjeeling tea, Assam tea and Masala tea. Delegates were able to taste the richness of Indian tea at the experience zone. Shyama Mishra brings us this report from Mumbai.
The side events of any G20 meeting includes very fascinating and interesting displays and exhibition. Likewise, we are here at the Trade and Investment Working Group meeting where Tea Board of India has set up their exhibition, and if you see this entire area, this is a complete experience zone. So delegates can come here and they can know all about the variety of tea that India has to offer. There are several other teas from the upper crest region of Himalayas, and here's the speciality. You see all these kind of different colors are all of the teas. These are hand rolled. Let's understand from the company representative.
This is from Andrew and Company. We have 12 gardens in Assam, Darjeeling and Doas.
Okay.
We are under the Ministry of Heavy Industries in central government. And these trees are produced specially by plucking from the garden and are hand rolled. Okay. Especially hand rolled and dried.
Upper elevations of
it's all upper elevation, 3,500 feet and above. So elevation trees. So there is different flavor in the elevations also. And we have also introduced some flavored teas of our customized flavored teas which are in demand at the moment.
To promote our own tradition, promote our own culture, let's talk to the Tea Board. We have Nandini Datta with us. Hi ma'am, welcome to DD India. So what's this all about? Various variety of teas.
India is the land of tea. We are the world's largest producer and consumer of black tea. So tea is like interwoven in our fabric of life. And G20 programs gave us a very good platform to give a tea experience zone so that delegates can come and we can show the strengths of Indian tea. We are showcasing our strength to the whole world that we have anything, any type of tea suit your palate, suit your mood, suit your requirement. And you can make beautiful blends with us because each tea has its own characteristics. It's always a festival with Indian tea.
Alright, that's a festival, and we definitely can understand with the variety of the tea and the food that is being prepared over here with tea. It's all left to our imagination, and definitely the delegates will have a wholesome experience. With camera person Kapil Maske, this is Shyama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
An exhibition showcasing spices, coffee and millets was organized on the sidelines of the first Trade and Investment Working Group meeting in Mumbai. India's Commerce Industry Minister Piyush Goyal visited stalls and interacted with the exhibitors. During the first Trade and Investment Working Group meeting, G20 member countries, invitee countries, regional groupings and international organizations had engaged in deliberations to accelerate global trade and investments. India holds the presidency of the G20 from the 1st of December. DD India correspondent Shyama Mishra spoke to performers after a cultural night for G20 delegates in Mumbai on Wednesday. Take a look.
On the cultural night, on second day of the Trade and Investment Working Group meeting here in Mumbai, Devli and Palki, along with several other dances from Maharashtra, were performed. We have the performers with us. Let's talk directly to them. What did you perform? Tell us a little history about it, and how proud are you to perform it in front of the representatives of the world?
Okay. So we performed Divli. Divli is called Samai dance or Divlian Nach. It is a tribal dance of Goa and Maharashtra. And it is performed in Sateri Devi, its temple. And in the dance, what is there is we perform the dance with unity, and we have to make human pyramids, and there are some movements that use gymnastics also. So overall, the dance is based on the balance. We have to balance the samai, and we do not use any such means we're doing the whole dance without touching the samai. Means in some places we keep our samai down for some stunts that require while performing any human pyramid. But apart from that, we're not touching it. We're doing everything depends on the balance. So that's about Divli.
Okay, so that's about Devli, balance and unity. We also have a performer from Palki. What is it about? Tell us little about it. And the same question, performing and bringing our culture to the fore in front of the whole world. How does it feel?
First of all, we are pleased to perform in front of everyone. So we have performed Palki dance from Maharashtra. So this is the Palki dance which it comes in Shimga Mahotsav in every Konkan. So what the Palki goes to every house for the darshan of the Devis and everything. And overall they keep on dancing on the pyramids. So we have the pyramids on that. And people come and interchange the Palkis and they dance in front of everyone. That's it.
How proud are you?
So we are really proud of it.
Okay. So we can see the smiles on their faces. They are really proud of performing their own culture, their own tradition in front of all the delegates who've come from G20 countries, member countries and invited institutions and countries. Shama Mishra, DD News, Mumbai.
It's time to say goodbye, and we leave you with handicrafts and artifacts made by Gujarati artisans and displayed in an exhibition during the first Disaster Risk Reduction Working Group meeting in Gandhinagar. Take a look. Namaskar.
अरे वाह, लेजेंड की बैट, इससे तो मैं खेलूंगा।